right, Joellen, let's talk a little bit about designing a landscape.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
designing a
interested to
landscape.
hear about this.
Yeah. One of the things you have to ask yourself is, why do you want to create the landscape in the first place?
Okay.
Or do you have something that you don't like, and why do you want to change it? What is the purpose of you wanting to change the landscape design
Okay.
of whatever it is? And how is it currently being used?
Ah, yes.
And then how do you want it to function with the new design that you're going to do?
Okay. Okay.
So those are the questions you ask first of yourself. And then you proceed to assess the site.
All right.
That's going to be key to being able to get a design done, is to assess your site.
Okay.
You're going to be looking at how is the area oriented to the sun, because we're working with living plants, and they need sunlight to make chlorophyll to produce their food to live. So they have to have some kind of sun. So how much sunlight do you have in that particular area? Are there any existing trees or maybe even some structures? I mean, it could be a tool shed out in the back, or it could be, your house or a garage. What kind of structure and what kind of trees are already existing in the house, which again will affect how the sun gets to that area.
Okay.
Are there any existing walkways or hardscapes, patios, or anything else? What is existing there already? How is the drainage on the site?
I think that is huge.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And a lot of people want to re-landscape because they do have drainage problems. But you've got to know where that water is flowing around your property, and does it pool up anywhere? All of that will determine what type of plants you will end up eventually putting there. Soils. That's the other part.
Yes.
With the drainage, there's the soil. Now, does your soil, you can have a heavy downfall and the water runs through there, maybe it pools up a bit, then an hour later it's gone. That would be great.
That's fine. Right.
But if it stays there for several days, there's a problem.
That's a problem.
So what kind of soil do you have? A lot of clay and small silt particles stick together, and they are not very porous, so they retain water. Digging down, that's why we did the water test here.
Right,
we dug the percolation test. We dug a hole and see how, put some water in and see how much it drained, and when it didn't drain at all, we knew we had a problem.
Right.
So, you could have the same thing in that area. So you really need to determine the drainage and what type of soils you have, because that's going to also determine what type of plants you put in.
That's right. Yeah, I think drainage is, such a big topic today in today's landscapes, for sure.
They really are. There's just all sorts of plants out there, though, that you can use in all kinds of situations. You may not have a large variety when you get to soggy soils and no sun. There's going to be less and less plants that will live in those conditions. But there are still some plants that will live in those conditions.
Sure. Okay.
And if you do have an area like that, you might decide, well, maybe I don't need a plant here at all. Maybe I should put in a hardscape of some kind, maybe a stone patio or an area that has just mulch or rocks in it for a seating area or something. There's all sorts of things you can do, but you've got to know what you have to begin with. And then now some of the things we use for tools to design with, you're going to have a few things. You need to have a tape measure of some kind.
Yeah.
Because you've got to determine how long the area is or how large it is, and then you have to view the area from where you want to see it from. If you're in the house and you're looking outside and you're trying to block a view from across the street or behind your house, you need to view what you are going to do, where you're going to design at from inside your house. Yeah. But if you want to do something with the front of your house to have it more appealing, get that first impression, then you would want to view it from the street. So you just got to figure out where the view is that you're trying to create a different feeling for in the landscape. And then the other thing, now this sounds kind of counterintuitive, but you really need to get the utilities sited And you don't, you don't have to do that before you do the design, but you might end up getting disappointed because you don't know what's underground. You can't see underground, and there may be a huge city drainage ditch coming right through your front yard or your backyard where you want to put something, and you can't because of the utility easement on either side of those. And if you're thinking of putting a tree there especially, I mean, you won't be able to do it. So having the utilities located and then looking at your plot plan, because a lot of times the plot plan will have like city drainage and things like that. And of course there will be easements on your house. Sure. And if there's any kind of utilities overhead, then you'll know there's a certain type of easement for that. And you want to stay away from all of those things before you get started.
Yes, call before you dig, right?
Well, and probably what I would do is I would do this once and then get my design done and then, mark.
Yeah,
so that the paint won't go away. Mark with flags or something, or keep the paint going till you can get the plants in the ground. Or call them again. Have it done again.
That's right. Yeah, that's going to be very important.
Yeah.
So let me ask something about the soil, right? It's
Okay.
like, this is a good opportunity too to get your soil tested, right?
Excellent opportunity to get it soil tested, because you might have a pH that's pretty high. And then you're going to have to learn to put some soil acidifier in it to lower it for the plants in the area. I'm thinking newer construction, or if you've just put in a patio or a sidewalk, concrete's lime, that gets pH, up there, and you may need to lower it to be able to put in, plants that like a lower pH than 7 or 7.2.
Yeah, get your soil tested.
Soil tested.
Go by your local extension office and get that done.
That's right.
Right. And something else too I like to ask. So what about, we're talking about planting, right? Annuals versus perennials. Yeah. So what role do those plants play in your landscape?
Everything is a perennial except an annual. Even trees and shrubs are mostly all perennial because they stay there all year long. So yeah, I like to mix everything. Okay. I like perennials. I like herbaceous perennials that come, die clear down to the ground and come back up. I like woody perennials that stay there and have some structure, like shrubs and trees. So, a mixture of everything will give you different textures and colors for you to enjoy all year long.
Okay. This is a fun activity to do, right? So I would do something like this with the family, right? Kind of get them out and say, okay, what are you interested in? What would you like to see here? If you have pets, right? I would consider all of that as well. And just have a plan of what you want to do.
That goes with the function. How does your family want the area to function? So you might find out that Rover likes a certain part of the yard, and he likes to dig there or something. And if you don't want that digging going on, maybe you want to put a patio there so he doesn't dig there anymore. Or, you might find out, your child is getting into soccer, so they want an area to play soccer in. It might be in the front yard, it might be in the backyard. I've seen it in both places. I have too. So it just depends on, the slope of your land. But you should make room for all of that and get every member of the family involved so that they get part of their say in how the function of the landscape works.
Yeah, like I said, this can be a very fun activity
for
the family. Thank you much. And next week, we're going to actually, design a landscape.
Yeah,
so we definitely look forward to that.
Do some drawing.
Thank you much. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please click the subscribe button below.